Masters.
A big crowd on a lovely afternoon at Ellesmere Port for the final stages of this year's Bass Masters. This Championship of Champions has been staged here at the Woodlands Hotel since 1982. Its reputation and standing in the game of Crown Green Bowls is unique. Well, good afternoon. Brian Duncan, the game's #1, set it on day 1. This is the ultimate test over 4 days. And we've seen it often enough over the past 7 years. The only predictable thing about the Bass Masters is the unpredictability of it all. Now, Duncan vouched for that as well, once he'd been beaten. Let's have a look then at the quarter-final lineup. That's where we start this afternoon. The favourites Stan Frith and Len Higginbottom from the top half of the draw, Tommy Johnstone from the bottom half. The televised majors haven't been kind to Stan Frith since his Grand Slam year of 1983. But Stan's a quality player, one of the best. Steve Ellis played well enough, but Stan was far too crafty and reached the Bass semi-finals for the first time. The Bass was the only major title to elude Stan in '83. Len Higginbottom saw to that. The only quarter-finalist to have won the title before, 6 years ago. Well, Len's usually there or thereabouts when there's big money at stake, but he's got his work cut out here. 20-14 down to the Cumbrian Martin Gilpin.
Shooting now. What a beautiful lead, Brian. What a cracker of a lead.
Absolutely on it, and if that's going to be the game, or the shot for game, then it certainly is an excellent one. Another upset, really, on the cards here. A lot of fun in the background because the heavy rain is tumbling off the canopy, and a lot of players missed that one. Len wants to know, but it really was an excellent response. Len certainly was the hot favourite, 6-4 on to win this heat. Even money you could get on Gilpin. They're getting very wet because the rain is tumbling off. It's not raining at the moment. The rainwater tumbling off the top there of the canopy, all on the crowd.
It's a pity that happened at that moment because attention was deflected from an absolutely splendid bowl from Len Higginbottom. Former champion Len fighting for his life to stay alive in here. He's all right. He's definitely counting one, and he's not going to touch it. He carries his second bowl down the green. There's no way that it was worth bowling it. It could have disturbed the head. And at 14-20 down, he daren't. He counts one. And it's 15-20. He trails. And now he's got that block back. He has got to be very careful and choose a piece of land that he feels totally confident about. And I doubt whether there's any bowler left in this competition now who really feels on this very tricky green that he's confident about bowling anywhere. Good lead. Just drawn up about a foot behind the yellow ball. Two for Len at the moment. Martin, can he find the ball here? It's looking good, it's looking good. Oh, unlucky. One, I think, now. Yes, Len Higginbottom, one. That was so close to nipping past the blue ball. Len going straight across the crown of the green. And the block set close to the edge, far side. And again, a good lead.
But again, a gamble, isn't it, Hugh, because he has cut across the green. It's a mark that Martin Gilpin will not be unhappy about, and he has the final say at this end.
Well, Len will be desperately eager now to get 2 in there. Well, it's wide open in front. Needs a hit. Got it, I think. That's it. Martin Gilpin goes through, and former champion Len Higginbottom goes out. Martin takes it, 21-16.
Ashley Daykin, the man who put an end to Brian Duncan's dreams of a second Bass title, was struggling too against Alan Broadhurst, who knocked out the flamboyant John Gurney in the previous round. Broadhurst looking good at 17-8.
8-17 against him. Picks out this nice falling mark. This is all about skill. Great touch required. Broadhurst has played this mark earlier in the competition with some success. Just holds it there. Suggestion of sunshine breaking through the clouds. Needs to dry this green and quicken it and make it even more tricky. Good bowl, right on it. Just brush it. Has a look at the jack. Turns away. About 10 inches through. And he's after it, trying to take out the winning bowl as it stands at the moment. In fact, he hits his own and leaves 2. Oh, yes. 2 to Ashley Daykin. Nice little run of 5 over the last 3 ends. The last one courtesy of the strike from Alan Broadhurst. 10-17 off the mat. Sometimes, Roy, if players put together breaks, they do it on the same piece of land, don't they?
Yes, they do, and obviously he won't move. He'll stay on this piece while he's scoring. That's the correct thing to do. And just previously you made reference to the fact that Ashley has not yet appeared for Yorkshire County, and I feel sure that if there were any of the Yorkshire County selectors here this week, I think he's acquitted himself really well. But I know, of course, it's very tough to break into that brilliant Yorkshire team.
Absolutely. Good bowl there from Broadhurst, the Lancashire County man himself. What's appealed to me mostly about Daykin this week has been his attitude. He's tackled anything. He's done extremely well, beating Jeremy Muff. Steve Copeland in his first game. Again, the luck. Is it with him? It is. It's a deadly. Sneaks it. Broadhurst will want that confirming.
Yes, it's valid that. Well,
Through and out, leaving another single. And this nice little rally by Ashley Daykin. Yes. Now, will he persist with the mark? He ought to, really. He's come from 17-5, 17-11, and you know what's going to start going through the mind of Alan Broadhurst is that this is the man who did it to me at Fletcher's Club over in Lee when I was 20-16 up, needing 1 to win it, and the fella I'd never heard of came all the way back and pinched it, and that got Ashley Daykin into the Bassmasters. And he was the first Yorkshire winner in the 4 years that that competition had been running. All right, Broadhurst. Tommy Johnstone hot favourite for competition. On the right in yellow, and on the left there is the man who can't keep away, Gary Wallace. Gary was a great hot favourite with the crowd earlier in the week, and then lost to Martin Gilpin. Now then, what is he going to do here? Is he going to try and take this one out? Play with a little weight. He's after it. He's going to take out with weight. He's taking the jack. Good strike. We start all over again, but Ashley Daykin, he keeps the jack.
Interesting point now, Brian. He, in taking the jack off the green, play has to recommence 1 metre from where the jack left, so Alan's actually forced Ashley Daykin to go about 4 yards further back, and he's got to negotiate a little hill in front of him.
Yes, he's changed it, Roy, hasn't he? I thought he might have elected to shorten and go that same sort of 25, 28 yard length he was going, but he's pushed it towards the corner, towards the edge. This calls for a tremendous adjustment. That may cost him. That strike might have been all important. 17-11. The Broadhurst advantage. A lot of room here to get in. The bowl now swinging. Yes, yes. Holds it now. I suppose, looking at Ashley Daykin, Roy, he would not be the favourite to win this heat with the bookies.
Oh no. Ashley Daykin was even money. If you wanted to back Alan Broadhurst, you'd have had to have laid them 6-4.
He was a 20-1 shot, you know, at the last 16 stage when he won over at Fletcher's Club for this. Now Broadhurst lining up. This, the final bowl of the completed 22nd end. That last end seeing the jack smacked off by Broadhurst. Can it sneak fast far enough? Oh yes, 2. So important. 19-11, Alan Broadhurst, and just as important, he's right in the corner. Go back to the longer lengths where he built these very early leads. 6-0, 11-3, 17-5, and now 19-11. Alan Broadhurst, and if he gets out of this one, Roy, there'll be a lot of people fancying him to win the competition.
There will, because he's played very well this morning and his tactics have been perfect. Going for game, gone somewhere completely new where they've never been before, and a brilliant lead.
Brilliant lead. The wind beginning to swirl around and the sun is certainly coming out, so the green will now start picking up. That is a cracking reply for nothing. To count nothing, that is a superb shot. It's made him think, hasn't it? How far off am I? And how far off is Ashley's bowl? Are they touching? Frank Kitchen is talking in a language that accountants don't understand. Alan Broadhurst, 31-year-old accountant from Wigan, qualified by winning the Coral Tetley competition.
He's still asking questions. I think what he's after, he's trying to find a way where he can count another bowl, but I don't think there's anywhere that Alan can get to at this end.
I'm sure you're right, Roy, unless something disastrous happens. We could do with an interpreter somewhere along the line. Right, Broadhurst finally works it all out. Doesn't want to get too close. He's much this side. Now then, turning over the other way and just a little bit in the road. Now, has Ashley Daykin managed to learn anything from all that? 19-11 against him, and certainly another one. He's got to be far enough. There's nothing for short. Far enough, make a connection, hope, and pray. Nope. All wrong. Another one, Alan Broadhurst. .2011 after 23 completed ends, and Broadhurst go away into the far corner under the leaderboard. Not easy. The jack trickling and running, but staying on. Some lush grass down there, Roy.
Yes, it's a long way this, you know, it's about 42 yards, and Allen's playing finger peg between the two crowns. Once again, very good jack placing, a good place to go when you want game, because Allen's balls will run right the way down that slope.
That's a good lead. 2 foot off over that sort of distance. This is trying. They're just 2-0. Broadhurst now wants to get another one in. 20-11. He already holds the one he wants for game. But there's nothing like another one, particularly if you get it round the back there. And stop. Must stop. Yes. All against the man from Yorkshire now. 20-11 down. Look short. Look short. Is short. Surely. Can't get up. No. All over. Gone. Good fight. Alan Daykin. Ashley Daykin. Way behind in the early stages. Finally got out with a winner there. He laid 2, in fact, Alan Broadhurst. He got out 21-11.
The way he disposed of the reigning champion Colin Trousdale and then Noel Burrows in that epic second round tie, Tommy Johnstone was the strong favourite from the bottom half of the draw. But Brian Jenkins was in no way overawed by that. 16-7, Johnstone in deep trouble.
He never really broke away from Noel Burrows, Roy, until the latter stages of that match.
Yes, and that game all turned on one hit in the corner from which they're coming, and Tommy's played a very good lead here, and maybe he'll draw some encouragement from the fact that Gary Wallace was down like this, and David Richardson came back to defeat Gary Wallace from a similar position in last year's Bass Finals Day.
Well, this quantity surveyor from Yorkshire, Brian Jenkins, is he's showing us he's got a lot of class. And Tommy with weight, his second bowl. Long strike. They're going across something in the region of 50 yards. The full corners on this green around about 54, 55 yards.
Jenkins, 1.
So a single for Brian Jenkins. 17-7 his lead. And the inconsistency of Tommy Johnstone this morning, I think, underlined by the fact that only on one occasion has he scored on 2 consecutive ends. That's a cheeky little mark, Roy.
Yes, it's very clever, you know, again, because it's all uphill to the centre of the green. They're only just, in fact, the jack is almost between the two crowns, just about a yard on one side.
Oh, great ball, Tommy. There he is, going up the hill. Big climb, looks good. Oh, well, what a remarkable little collision. Everything against Tommy here now. Has he knocked himself in? It's certainly looking as though it might be a measure here this time.
Measures, please.
Oh, a lot of collisions in that end, Roy.
Yes, they say fortune favours the brave, and All Tommy could do there was reach up. He was hoping to connect with Brian Jenkinson's closest bowl, and he had a ricochet, and I think it's a close measure.
Joe Owen on the left, Roy Bate on the right, and overseeing it, referee Mary Ashcroft.
Jenkins, 1.
And the measure favours Brian Jenkins. So he's just 3 chalks short of a place in the semi-final. 18-7. And into the green pastures of this leaderboard corner. The green has been very, very difficult to play throughout this tournament. A lot of bare patches, and players have, I think, done tremendously well, Roy, to tackle the difficulties of this green throughout the week.
There have been a lot of problems because what we've had here, of course, is, as we have today, bright sunshine. And in fact, I think what's happening in this game, Tommy is struggling because the green is changing whilst they're playing. It's drying out all the time. First thing this morning, it was very heavy, but I think it's gone a couple of yards quicker.
Tommy, at least with some saving to do. Or maybe some winning.
Jenkins, 1.
No, it was a saving bowl. So Brian Jenkins, another single, 19-7. And again, changing the land, changing the length. Last time out of that corner, it was just up to the crown. This time it's over and beyond by 4 or 5 yards. His bowl stops in one of the bare patches. Tommy then. Only literally just gets past. Brian Jenkins. Jenks to his mates. A quantity surveyor by trade and master of all he surveys at the moment. Tommy has a look. Brian Jenkins strolls away into the background, well pleased with his second delivery. That was a pressure bowl. Tommy's lost it completely there, well underneath.
Jenkins, 1.
So, Brian Jenkins. This, I think, a great upset as far as the crowd is concerned, and even as far as the bookmakers, Roy. 27. I don't think anybody expected this.
No, they really were making Tommy Johnstone hot favourite for the match. If you wanted to back Johnstone, you'd have had to have laid 2-1, and he was joint favourite for the event at 3-1 with Stan Frith.
And watching Tommy Johnstone, we've got really some player out there, remember. The autumn Waterloo winner in '85, the spring Waterloo winner this year. And he took out Brian Duncan, Stan Frith and Ken Strutt on finals day. This is some bowler, Tommy Johnstone, but he's feeling at the moment that he's having one of those days when nothing goes right for him. It's all over. Brian Jenkins has absolutely walloped Tommy Johnstone. Warm applause from the crowd for the man from Yorkshire, as Brian Jenkins goes into the semi-finals, taking out Tommy Johnstone, 21-7.
So the semi-final lineup looks like this. Not one of the pre-tournament favourites in sight. The most fancied of the four early Wednesday morning was Stan Frith at 14-1. Stan the man, now the outright favourite at 3-1, which means absolutely nothing at the Bassmasters. Join us again.
When you turn up at an airport, who knows what you might face? But imagine a service that helped cut through it all. Cut through the crowds, hassles, formalities, so you can check in up to 10 minutes before takeoff. Imagine food on every flight, backup planes, and for frequent business travelers, a card that checks you in and issues your ticket and boarding pass automatically. This is British Airways' new Super Shuttle Executive, clearing your path from A to B. British Airways, the world's favourite airline.
How long have we got?
2 minutes, Angie.
Crikey, we haven't even got time to nap! Well, here goes! Ah!
Have you landed yet?
Yes, right in it! Never mind, come on, let's go! Come on, we'll have to be quick, they're raising the drawbridge!
Find the winding stairs.
The winding stairs, come on, it's this way! Ouch! Why? I'm at the top now!
Keep going.
Keep going? Geronimo! I found it! Stop the clock!
I bet she drinks Carling Black Label. Nah. I bet they do.
Your best bet for a fuller flavour.
Carling Black Label.
Night. Night.
New, longer-lasting Sure for men. At the end of the day, it won't let you down.
I wouldn't come near me if I were you.
Oh, it smells like a tough day.
You wouldn't believe it.
I do. Ugh, I do. Ugh. Don't breathe in. Don't worry, kid. We've got Ariel.
When it comes to the rough stuff, nothing beats Ariel at getting out tough dirt and the smell of hard work.
Something smells clean. I've always liked this shirt. Shame it's not Saturday.
On tough dirt and smells, nothing beats Ariel.
You'll love Tracker in roasted nut or chocolate chip. Tracker makes straight for the taste.
Tracker, now with new apple and black currant.
Yes, welcome back. The first of the semi-finals now. Stan Frith, the closest he's been to a major televised final since 1983, against Martin Gilpin from Cumbria, who by the time he goes home tonight will have clocked up something like 1,000 miles travelling to and from Ellesmere Port this week. Now, he's leading 8-5 after leading 8-1 at one point, and one of his previous victims, Gary Wallace, is in the commentary box alongside Brian Brett and Hugh Johns.
Interesting switch by Stan Frith. he had the chance to get to the opposite corner, but elected to go along an edge, try and pinch a couple of points, and then get up to the other diagonal. So now he plays back underneath the leaderboard, where there are at least 3 ridges to negotiate as well.
This corner with a little bit of grass, which I think tends to slow the bowl up as he gets nearer the jack. This has been a difficult green, Gary, I think, for most of the bowlers all week, and the changing conditions have been something to overcome.
Yeah, there's a lot of thick lush grass in the hollows, but there's a lot of bare patches as well, which make the bowls very difficult to run upon. Particularly this corner, during the week there's been a lot of breaks made in this corner. A lot of games have been won and lost. As Stan's ball now hits the dip, it starts dropping down into the hollow, and you're expecting it to run, but the thick grass is pulling on the ball, and so you're having to reach up to enable yourself to play good bowls.
I would fancy Martin to get in there, but he hit his own short bowl. And that's another 2. So encouraging signs for the Frith supporters, and Martin Gilpin must feel a little downcast at the moment. A solid lead of 8-1 suddenly turns into a 1 chalk lead at 8-7.
I always think he's a difficult player to face when he's behind, in fact, Hugh. I remember when he won the Manchester Evening News to qualify, he was a mile behind against Ken Horwath. I think it was 17-12, and then he got out to win that extremely well, 21-18.
This mark, I think, even more difficult than going towards the leaderboard, Gary, in as much as it's mostly uphill going this way, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to be very, very careful where you deliver the balls from. You're coming out to the hollow, so it's very difficult to get a ball away unsmooth. Obviously taking the momentum out of the ball, slowing the ball down. And as the mark's all uphill, it's very difficult. You've got to make sure you reach there. Although you can overcompensate, and there is 2 yards of trail after the jack. And if you're too far, obviously your ball sails through, and the crowd suddenly start oohing it.
This looks very sweet. Now that indeed had just the fraction of running on it. It's holding 2 though. And Martin clearly can't afford to drop another 2 here. Hey, I think he's found it. I think he's found it. No, it pulled up short. So who's got what? Well, the 2 gentlemen who are going to tell us eventually, accompanied by the Laurel and Hardy signature tune, which accompanies every pair of measurers onto a crown green. They're going to decide. Frank Lomax on the right there. He's got the tape on the jack. Joe Owen the tape on the bowl. And Stan Frith got away with it. So we got a whole new ball game. 8 across. Stan has pushed again into the leaderboard corner, and this jack, oh, a good 1.5 yards further than the last one he set in this direction. Got it very, very well indeed. Well, Stan's settling to his work now, Brian.
Well, he is, and that nice little break matches 1 he had in the Alan France game of 7, included 6 doubles in that particular win. But when you look through the records here, Stan has not been happy. He's not that often strung too many little runs together. Martin desperate to get in and then to change this whole length and line of play.
Well, pushing that yellow ball out of the way might do Martin a bit of good. His road a little clearer now to the target. That's not going to do anything for him. It saves one, I think. That's all that can be said for it. So Stan the man is in front. 8-1 down, and now he's 9-8 up. Well, it was on distance and diagonals that Martin gave you a hard time, Gary, and beat you. He's having those difficulties on this morning there now.
Yeah, Martin has put himself under a lot of pressure. He's not making his first bowl count. He's not giving his first bowl a chance, and he's putting himself under severe pressure with his second bowl. It's very difficult. If you can get your first bowl roundabout, you give yourself a chance.
Go on.
Yes, he's consistently short with his first.
No more than a foot.
And I think it's fair to say, Brian, most of the time it's easier to take something off your bowl with some accuracy than it is to put something into it.
Well, particularly on this green, because you're frightened if you get too far past the block going in this direction. You're going to run a long way through. This time Stan seems to have judged it absolutely right. Still got a stop. Look at it run on. Counts.
Martin has to improve by a couple of yards on his first bowl. Has improved a bit. There's a little bit of slope there, and it just draws him in to pitch the shot. Well, he needed that. Level at 9 across, but that was an 8 shots gallop from Stan Frith. Now Martin setting a mark along the left-hand edge of the green as we look at it, with the intention, I'm sure, of keeping the block, as he has every hope of doing now with that delivery, and then heading off in the opposite diagonal. Stan's going to be pretty close. He is going to be awfully adjacent. He's won it. I think that's going to drop underneath. That's going to drop underneath. Well, Brian, I do feel the way Stan is bowling, he's rapidly becoming the favourite for this heat, for this semi-final.
Yes, he certainly set off that way at 6-4 on. It may well be a little unbackable at the moment. The important thing is that he now has to go along another edge to get back to the corner where he built that 8 break. And well, sure, he's happy, isn't he?
Yes, I think he just put that up to save carrying it up. There's no way that he could improve on that situation. Any touch on something there and he could have lost the end. Scores a single. So Stan now tries a similar sort of tactic that Martin was trying. He goes along an edge into the leaderboard corner with the intention of setting off on the other diagonal.
Can I just talk across you, Hugh, and ask Gary, do you see this as a crucial end? Because if he gets this end, Stan the man can certainly go back where he wants.
Yeah, he's going to be straight back into the corners, Brian. What's surprising me is that Martin favours the 2 corners that Stan was playing. Played them particularly well against both myself and Len, but has struggled this afternoon. Whether it's the change in speed, he did play early in the morning, and I don't think he's actually played at this time in the afternoon. The sun's probably at its hottest, there's a bit of wind, and the green's drying out all the time. Probably a quick change in speed of the green, and it's doing him.
Yes, I think we've had the worst of the games from a spectator point of view late in the afternoon when the pace of the green is much, much quicker. So this then, as Gary sums up, crucial end.
And Martin scores a double. (11-10). Martin Gilpin leads. And Martin pushes towards the corner, but it's a long way from it. You could almost call this a sort of three-quarter diagonal.
Took me by surprise, Hugh, because I thought it had gone up to the other scoreboard and then straight back across to the far corner. He's a bit anxious to just collect a few points at the moment, Martin Gilpin.
Yes, I think his nerves have been jangled a bit by the quality of Stan's comeback.
And yet, when you look at what Martin Gilpin has won, Hugh, he really shouldn't, you know, should he? Champion of Champions, Crown King, Manchester Evening News, British Parks. Got a great pedigree.
Yes,
the back ball's over 2 foot away.
you wonder, in fact, with Martin, how much better a player he might even be if he lived closer to the heart of the big game.
Yes, I think had he lived in the Manchester area for some years and in the very good leagues around there, picks up another single, Martin Gilpin, I feel, would be such a lot better player. He's not used to the television cameras really either, but I get the feeling, knowing the man, that it's not going to trouble him that much. I think it's the occasion. I think he can cut himself off.
Martin then going into the leaderboard corner again. I suppose of all the games in any competition, the semi-final is the hardest to play. Like any game at all, Gary, it's the one that gives you most heartbreak to lose, isn't it?
Too right, Hugh. I only remember last year when I was 15-4 up in the semi-final and happened to lose. A dreadful experience, and one I'll never ever forget. It's always difficult to lose in a semi-final. The final is the one, if you lose in the final, at least you can say you've been there. If you lose in the semi-final, probably your class as an also-ran.
Martin then with a blue disc bowl of Stan Frith's to beat. And he hasn't achieved it. So Stan, the man, is back. Is he back with just the one, or is he going to get two as he gallops away to see the finish of this delivery? And it's a cracker. Oh yes. So we're back where we were right at the start of the game. They're level. Level at 0-0 before they started. Level at 8-8 after 12. Level at 2-2 after 18. And Stan has committed the cardinal sin of throwing the jack off the green. He's done that 2 or 3 times in this competition here at the Woodlands.
But it cost him now, because the rules of the game, Hugh, of course, determine that this man in yellow, Martin Gilpin, must set the mark. I wonder whether he's going to come along an edge and then hopefully win the end, get back up to the scoreboard.
Well, that's just what he's doing. Straight peg mark with the bias towards the crown, fighting against the slope of the crown, allowing the bowl to run as straight as it possibly can. It's got to hit something or it's going to go flying through, and he got the hit. He needed that, because that could easily have gone in the ditch if it had missed everything. This looks to have lovely running on it. What a rotten piece of luck. It is a cruel game, this Crown Bowls. The tiniest wick and he'd have sneaked through. If he'd missed the yellow altogether, he would have definitely won it.
You see the danger now, Hugh, is that Gilpin wants to know if he makes a connection on the best blue bowl, how far has he to knock it to the jack to make it count? That's the danger.
I'd say about 18 inches.
He's going to push this one high up, much, much higher up, and now ask the Crown to drag it down. Now a little bit of slow land there.
Gilpin 1.
So Martin hangs on. A single, he's in front, 13-12. And now he goes off on this other diagonal, far across the green. In fact, he hasn't gone as far with this as I would have thought. Strange sort of mark, Gary.
Well, this is the mark he actually beat me on, Hugh. As the ball's running towards the jack, it's all on a bare brown bit. If you get either side, you're hitting the thick green, so it's very hard to compensate. You've got to be bang on the road of the jack with a perfect length, and you'll have a good ball.
Stan didn't find the road, and the bowl did stay out. Oh yes, Martin. Perhaps needed another foot or so of running. It's going to be a difficult ball to get past.
It's also a difficult decision, isn't it, for Stan, because he can't get a clear indication from referee Wilfolk as to whether it's 1 or 2 against him. Certainly 1, and who knows what for 2.
No, he's going well out underneath it, and he did not find the road. It wasn't signposted clearly enough for him. Wilfolk has a word with Martin and says, what do you think you've got? And he says 1, so he holds up 1 yellow lollipop. $14-12. So Martin pushes up just below us with this block. And there's a nice piece of green grass where that jack has finished its travel. Good lead. Whoa, that's gone.
Good little run by Gilpin again, emerging. Oh, and you think that this is the man that drove 100 miles this morning to get to the Woodland Hotel. He's bang on the road again, just through.
Well, it's still there to be won. Stan Frith, a great compensator in this game of Crown Bowls. He's got it right. Yes. 1 in the ditch, 1 on the target. And the compensation that he had to create for his second bowl was quite remarkable, and he found it absolutely right. So I should think now that Stan will head off to our right as we look down on here and head off for the leaderboard again. Oh, I don't know. He's had a look in the other direction. Yes, he has.
He's tried that
Oh,
mark a
now
couple
he's
of times.
changed his mind again.
Tried it twice without success, Hugh. He's gambling a 3rd time.
Interesting that, Roy. Stan changed his mind. He's playing right to us virtually.
Yes, he had a long think about that, you know. Last time he came down in this corner from the other corner, he didn't play too well, but he's got a good lead going here, you know. That's a real good bowl. Playing round peg, bias towards the ditch, and that's just 2 feet off. Be a big tester for Martin, this now. He's very close. Just too far.
Still, it stayed on. Some consolation. Slim.
It stayed on, and actually that could come into the count, because Martin's always got the possibility now, playing 2 yard over, carrying the jack, or moving that ball of stands. All depends on this second ball of stands. Take a lot of care with this now. Going well. It's going to be very close. Going to be very near. It's going to count another. Oh, he's moved the jack. I think he's still 2. And Martin's got a problem now. If stands 2 here, he's got a very difficult decision as to what ball to play. Either to play to get second, or to play through with some weight and chance disturbing something. A lot hinges on what Stan says now.
Looks like one, but you can't tell with this bowling. This one. 6 inches.
Looks about 4 to me, Roy. But Stan thinks it's just the 1.
Yeah, bad miss. Without only being 1, that was all Martin could do, and it'll be a big blow to him if it does happen to be 2.
Stan thinks it's only 1, but do you think he might go for a measure here?
Well, he hasn't really committed himself, you see. He said he thinks it's only 1, but he'd have a look. So he's got to have them measured now.
Well, here comes the Laurel and Hardys. Just a quick word on Stan's fight back from you, Roy Armstrong. 7-1 down at one point. Now he's just about to get his nose in front by the looks of it.
Yes, it all came about from some very, very clever tactical play by Stan, and of course it's the kind of thing that players like Stan do with all these years of experience. He saw Martin was playing about 38 yards, so what he did, he put 6 yards on each end. He sent the jack 6 yards further at both ends, and he caught Martin out, and this is what players like Stan will do. And it brought him an 8 break, and the difference that 8 break can make, it could just win Stan the game.
He seems to have overcome whatever it is that's afflicted him in major televised events since that marvellous year of 1983 when he won the Grand Slam.
Yes, he's had a tough time, hasn't he, in televised events, and nobody knows why he's failed, really. I've asked Stan about it. Even he doesn't know. Certainly not nerves, and here he is. He's going back again right in the other corner, going something like 52 yards from this position all uphill, and it's very difficult to deliver the balls from where they are because they've got a hill about 6 feet in front of them.
14 across, Stan Frith and Martin Gilpin.
And Stan has this bowl on its way for a long, long distance, and he has not found it by, a long, long way. Martin then. Running, and wants to stop now. Superb. That is really a magnificent bowl. Right on the target. Just about the full diagonal. I think we worked it out, the full diagonals here are about 54 yards, so take a couple of yards off that. And that is a long way to deliver a bowl that will not run straight, even if it was a dead flat surface. And with the undulations and little different patches of green here.
How far is it on? 2'6". No, you're touching the block.
That'll run out. Don't think that second one is going to count. There's a little bit of downhill just the other side of the jack, and I wouldn't think that that's counting. No, it is just a single, but a vital single nevertheless.
Certainly persistent, Martin Gilpin. Searching all the time to get back to the diagonal he favours. He could have gone straight back across the crown, instead of which he's tried to go along this edge, just off the crown, and well short.
Curious enough, he made... well, didn't make an error the last time he came in this direction, but he lost the end. Fortunately for him this time, Stan has not put one right on the target, and Martin has changed his bowl over. Got the bias running against the crown there. Just put a little bit too much on it. Stan sticking to the thumb peg mark with the crown and bias working in conjunction, and they're working beautifully. So we're level again. Level at 8s, level at 9s, level at 12s, level at 14s, and now level at 15s.
There's a funny mark he's setting now, Hugh, because this is the mark, I'm sure, perhaps Gary can come in on this. Isn't this the mark that Martin might have set for himself?
Yeah, the only difference here is Stan's changed the peg. He's actually playing thumb peg along the same ridge that Martin actually plays, but he's going deeper into the corner.
There's that hesitation again by Stan. He's meticulous in his attitude to the delivery of the bowl. If he doesn't feel absolutely right, he'll stop, go back and do it again. And Stan's missed the line completely. I think there's a couple of little hillocks down there, Gary, isn't there, that if you can get between them, you can trolley straight down to the jack.
Yeah, Martin looks as though he's on the road now. Just needs to hit the patch of brown. Yeah, it's a very difficult piece of land. There's a plenty of, as you said, hollows and hillocks along the way, and you've got to be perfect road, perfect length, otherwise the balls just swing away or stick underneath.
Yes, and both Stan's bowls have swung away, and there's no doubt that he made an error in selecting that piece of land to play. I think Martin's going to get himself an easy 2 here. So Martin in a perfect position now to come back on a length and a mark that certainly suits him. That line looks good, looks very good.
This time he's shifted the jack away from the other fast running edge. He's found some nice, lush, slower, consistent running grass, and he can head for home here.
Do you get a feeling, Gary, that that error of Stan's on the last mark might just cost him the game?
Yeah, it brought back memories of my game against Martin when I just hit the front and went 17-15 up and played 2 loose bowls to a very, very similar length jack to Stan played, and it cost me the game. It could well be that it loses Stan the game as well. He's under pressure here, otherwise Martin goes 19 and he's heading for home.
You're 2 yards short.
Stan must try and save, if nothing else. No, it's well underneath. Not going to arrive. That's 2 for Martin Gilpin. And now he has a substantial lead with the winning post, just 2 chalks away, as far as he's concerned. And there'll be no doubt in Martin's mind, he'll go back from whence he came. Oh, look at that jack bobble away then. And I'm sure it won't finish where he intended it to. little bit of a bobble on the bowl as well then. Yes, that was a badly delivered jack and not a particularly well delivered bowl. Maybe the excitement of the moment is getting to him. Stands on the road, but not enough legs. That was a sweeter delivery. No, it's not going to get there. It will not make the trip, and Stan is in the business of scoring 2 here. Oh, go on, that's not going to arrive. Oh, what a terrific chance of getting 2 there for Stan, and he just winds up with a single.
Stan this time is making sure he goes to a piece of land that's been rewarded. He's keeping well out of Gilpin's territory, going back to his favourite corner.
Well, it turned out to be a good lead. If he hadn't hit the block, it wouldn't have been. Martin Gilpin chasing it now. Martin, who qualified here by winning the Manchester Evening News tournament, as did Colin Trousdale, the Bassmasters winner last year, Brian.
Yes, Colin was absolutely unheard of, really, generally outside this area, until he won that, and he went on to achieve fame here a year ago. Disappeared very early when Tammy Johnson gave him the once-over. But this man, Gilpin, won it at the Waterloo. 1,000 and odd entries there, so overall, in the final at the Waterloo, good competition to win.
Indeed, and he took out some good bowlers there. Noel Barrows on Broadhurst, Tommy Johnson in the semi-final before he took the final against Ken Halworth. But that's in the past for Martin. At the moment, it's all about the semi-final of this year's Bassmasters and Stan the man. He's now 17-19 down, pegging his way back.
In a funny game, Hugh, when you look at it, Gilpin tore away to that 8-0 or 8-1 lead, and then back came Frith with a break of 8. Since then, swings and roundabouts, a couple of doubles in the back end here have helped Gilpin. But Stan now very much back in the game. This is a tremendous end.
Yes, memories now of Stan's brilliant year 6 years ago, 1983. All England merit winner, Waterloo winner, and the Embassy Champion of Champions winner. That was a tremendous hat-trick. And with Martin Gilpin's assistance, Stan's bowl is pushed a little nearer to the block.
It's an odd sort of game still, isn't it? Because while Gilpin has coupled up 5 times, Stan Frith only 3. And he's really been playing with one bowl most of the time and scoring with the odd one. Gilpin now looking for some helpful bias. Can it pull up?
It has. Scrappy sort of an end. An important shot, though, for Martin Gilpin. Martin picks up that block and hopes that that's the last time he's going to have to pick it up. He looks towards the leaderboard corner. Well, Jack winds up on a little bare patch where the running is very different to the green that's around it. And when you are one short of a winning score, the semi-final of a big money competition like this one, that's not a bad way to lead. Martin will want to get close, but will not want to offer a target. If he can stop in the road, it would be helpful.
Just waiting, Stan Frith, because he wants to know that trophy.
It's just
the
one.
Trophy waiting. It's just one, so he can afford to strike, and strike for this trophy if he's successful.
No, the bowl goes out, and Stan Frith goes out along with it. Stan, despite that brilliant fight back in the middle stages of this competition, and then sticking to it all the way, Martin Gilpin came back with a rush towards the end. A couple of doubles gave him a bit of an edge, and then he finally gets the big one that takes him into the final. 21-17.
Discover the freshness of summer. Lenore Summer Fresh. As light as an early morning breeze, Lenore puts summer into your wash. Lenore Summer Fresh. Light and fresh as a summer breeze.
Do you like the coffee? It's Maxwell House. New decaffeinated.
You're kidding.
New Maxwell House decaffeinated coffee. You'll be amazed how good it tastes.
The astonishing world of the microscope is revealed on 4 new stamps from the Royal Mail. A snowflake magnified 10 times, a fly's head magnified 5 times, blood cells magnified 500 times, a microchip magnified 600 times. The stamps are on sale from September the 5th onwards. At main post offices, you can buy them in this presentation pack or as postcards to send or collect. Royal Mail stamps, beautiful gifts you'll want to keep.
So sorry. Please, I really don't know. I'm awfully sorry. You legs back. Somebody left the kit. I don't know what people think luggage racks are for. I really am terribly sorry. There are oh dear, it's gone right through. So sorry.
It's okay.
It's nearly my stop.
1% alcohol, 100% tenants.
Plaque is the main cause of tooth decay and gum disease. It can be thought of as an army of bacteria that advances on teeth and gums, an army capable of doubling in size every 40 minutes. To combat this attack, Maclean's contains fluoride and an antibacterial agent called PA1. Regular brushing with Maclean's fights the advance of plaque, the main cause of gum disease and tooth decay. Maclean's with fluoride and PA1. All toothpastes are not the same.
Just for the taste of it, the real Cola taste of it. Just for the taste of it, Diet Coca-Cola. Just for the fun, just for the shame, just for the taste, just for the taste of it. Sugar-free Diet Coca-Cola.
This is probably the most sensible deodorant ever created. Really, there's no gimmicks, no fuss, and there's no aerosol gases. It's kind to your body and the environment, and naturally it's high on protection. So come on, girls, roll on the mum.
Chilly, isn't it?
On now to the second of the semi-finals, Alan Broadhurst and Brian Jenkins, who both came through from the bottom half of the draw, the toughest of the two halves. It included Brian Duncan, last year's winner Colin Trousdale, Noel Burrows and Tommy Johnstone, Crown Green Bowling's elite. So Broadhurst Jenkins, and a remarkable recovery by Broadhurst, 10-3 down at one point. He leads 11-10 as we join Roy Armstrong and Brian Brett.
8 successive chalks, Alan Broadhurst, 3 of them gained in doubles to lead 11-10, and that's from 3-10. The lead is quite good. It's good length down there, difficult area. Now the road looks all right. What about the length? Let him down. Ideal way in. Bit of a runner in the game, Alan Broadhurst. Not the full distance. Likes to stop short and just encourage his bowl. And he's got away with it. Good connection for Broadhurst. This one, he knows the line. He wants to negotiate away past the bowl that's just had a connection and get the length right. Wrong, or wrong. What has he done? He's left 2. Frank Kitchen holds up 2 lollipops, the blue ones. Broadhurst, another 2. 3 successive doubles. 12th, 13th, 14th end by Alan Broadhurst to lead.
And he's been very careful with that footer. He moved it one way and then he moved it the other to try and make sure that he missed those bumps just in front of him. And he's gone a lot further with the jack this time, coming right into the corner beneath our commentary position, and the jack going in the famous saucer.
The famous saucer, where if you just get onto the lip of that saucer, it'll assist the bow right down onto the jack. His length may let him down. Plenty of encouragement. Big crowd here at the Woodland. Bathed in sunshine at the moment. Weather changeable, but certainly nice at the moment. Jenkins. They think it's flying. It looks all right to me. It's got to stop. Needs to stop. Alan Broadhurst off on the long run across the green again, knowing that that first bowl of Brian Jenkins, although good in direction, was poor in length and went off. This is a good one. Oh, this is a cracker. The famous saucer. No wonder the smiles there. Got it so right. He's far enough again. He's far enough. They're urging it off. Just caught the lip and settles. Cuts it to 1. Some bowls you think are worth more than 1, but Broadhurst is happy. Just to count the 1. 14-10, Alan Broadhurst. Alan Broadhurst, in fact, was one of the first to qualify for this year's Bassmasters, winning the Coral Tetley over at Patrickcroft almost a year ago. Their final is coming up next week. Brian Duncan plays tomorrow. Broadhurst himself also plays tomorrow. Now then, is this lead right? Not bad. He'd like another yard. Jenkins was the last of the qualifiers, getting in when Brian Duncan won the Dennis Mercer and came from the reserve list as the Webster's winner. But his game is falling apart. From a huge 10-3 lead, he's 14-10 down, and he knows it. Break of 11, best in the competition so far to this man, the Wigan accountant, Alan Broadhurst. Bowling well now, Roy.
Yes, and sometimes it can take Alan 75% of the game to find a mark that suits his bowls, but it's not taken him that long on this occasion. Just about halfway through the game, he's really farming this piece of land now, and although the bowls are 6 feet off, they're very good, going about 52 yards. It's a long way, and Brian Jenkins has changed his peg here, gone finger peg in, hoping that it's easier.
Hoping that he's got enough weight as well, Roy. The approach is excellent, isn't it? The approach is nice. Done enough. Surely. They'll want to have a good long look. The shouts of the crowd indicate he'd got it, but they're not so sure. Nobody's giving anything away so far. Referee Frank Kitchen has gone all the way around, and now, with the players not agreeing, they call for a measure. Roy Bates on the left, and Frank Lomax. Two experienced officials, both bowlers. Players have nothing to do with this. They just step aside and leave it to the officials. 14-10, Broadhurst leads. His break is 11. His aim is another 7, but this time Jenkins won. The blue at last. He's back in it at last. 11-14 he trails. And Roy Armson, the whole character of the game has suddenly changed.
And it's predictable, isn't it, really? He's playing finger peg, round peg, biased towards the ditch, over the crowd, but only about 26 yards. Lead not too good. That's nearly 5 feet past. I think Alan will be sure to beat that.
You wait all that time to get back into the game, to get the jack, and then your lead is not right. But encouragement there for Brian Jenkins. Got a nice sighter. Just edge past that one. Make sure you've given the ball enough. Well, he may not.
I think actually what's happened here is sent a wrong ball.
Yes, that will be taken out. I think
Brian Jenkins has sent Alan Broadhurst's ball.
And I think the bit of the problem is that one of the discs, the coloured discs on the side of one of the bowls of one of the players has come off. That bowl then is dead. It's taken out. He just bowled Alan Broadhurst's ball. It does happen occasionally, Roy, doesn't it?
It does happen occasionally, but it's most unusual for that to happen in this class of bowling, and it's been caused through a wrong disc on one side of the bowl. Most unusual.
And it's so difficult, Roy, to identify if you've got bowls that are similar and your mind is on other things. But it is a terrible mistake, isn't it?
Usually what happens is when you have the bowl in your hand, you know that it's not your bowl by the feel of it. And Brian Jenkins must have... That's a terrible mistake. It could cost him the game.
Well, what has happened now is that Alan Broadhurst has got two. One of them courtesy of Brian Jenkins bowling a bowl out of... It just wasn't his bowl at all. He should not have bowled it. It's cost him 2 because Broadhurst responded with a second counting bowl. We think the problem is that a coloured disc has come off the side of one of the bowls, which is misleading as much to us as clearly to Brian Jenkins. What a great response. That is definitely a yellow disc bowl of Brian Jenkins, Roy.
That's character, isn't it? He's put it behind him. He's put that event behind him. And here's Alan Broadhurst striking now, trying to get the jack off. He's just missed.
He's almost broken the ankle there of Frank Kitchen. That bowl absolutely thumped back off the surrounding board. Brian Jenkins, can he settle again? Is there any Yorkshire grit there? He put one on the jack. Can it run enough? It has given up. Just the one to the yellow. And the yellow of Brian Jenkins. 12-16 off the mat. In the flat green game, Roy, I think the rule is slightly different if you play one of your opponent's bowls, isn't it? I think what happens is they just replace it.
Yes, that's right, and it's the same. It used to be the same in the old professional game. It was either recalled or replaced at the discretion of your opponent. But Brian Jenkins has changed it again here. Gone thumb peg between the two crowns, just about 27 yards, and a brilliant lead. He's showing no nerves at all.
And a good response. That may just have gone in. Brian Jenkins. Back in this game, forgetting all about playing the wrong bowl. Through the head, away. Frank Kitchen, the man who's there, he made that good decision just now. He's got the blue disc out already. He thinks this is only one before the second bowl's up. Good spot the last end and a good decision here. Just shows you the important part that referees play in this game of crown green bowls. They're normally not on the green in normal game.
Well, that finished at 21-13. Brian Jenkins only picked up one more shot from that stage, and I think really the moment when he picked up Alan Broadhurst's bowl and made an elementary mistake, that was what really led to his downfall. They're playing for big stakes here at the Bassmasters. £5,500 to the winner. You really can't afford to make mistakes like that. The final is not too far off. Join us again shortly.
I've been on the dole for 6 months now. I've been applying for jobs, but I haven't had too much luck. What I really need is a phone. Phoning round is good, but a lot of companies like you to write to them, and I just can't afford it. The stamps. Or the newspapers for the job ads. But some expert help and advice would be useful as well. And it'd be great to have a few people around to talk to who are in the same boat. Thanks. But what I really need to get me to job interviews on time is a roller.
At your job club, we'll supply just about everything you need to help you find a job. Ask at your job centre.
If we said we thought Carlsberg could put hairs on your chest, it would be somewhat unbelievable. If we said Carlsberg could make you more attractive to women, it would be claiming slightly too much. If, however, we said we believed Carlsberg was the best lager in the world, it would be true. Well, probably.
Right, Beryl, could you give your dad suit a lick of paint? Only it'll never come out in this light.
Do you have to fill in for your
Lovely.
film's deficiencies?
Aunt Maud's hat needs a bit of brightening up, Chris. That's lovely. Oh, dear. The vicar's hair will never do.
Are you having to make up for the lack of colour in cheap films?
Oh, hurry up, Dave. The vicar's starting to run.
Okay, everybody.
Get strong, true colours in your camera, not all over you. Kodacolour Gold.
Did it rain? Not all the time. But you had fun. Pretty exhausted, really. And we ran out of golden drummers. Really?
Tender turkey, shaped into boneless drumsticks, coated in crumb.
It's great to be home, Mum.
Bernard Matthews Golden Drummers. Good to come home to.
This Sunday, only in the Sunday Times, Princess Anne, an authoritative new biography written with the princess's full cooperation. An intimate account of her ambitions, her family life, her royal role, plus her biographer's private insights into her marriage and its breakup. A unique view of the Princess Royal, and a unique view of Britain from her brother. Exclusive extracts from an explosive new book by Prince Charles. A Vision of Britain, only in the Sunday Times this Sunday.
Anytime you choose, kick off your shoes, rest your weary eyes, or catch up with the news. Our favorite book will be our perfect company, so relax. Forget about the blues, you're doing fine. Leave your cares and worries aside. loosen up your tie, watch the world speed by. Relax.
Yes, welcome back. The final is just minutes away. Alan Broadhurst against Martin Gilpin. Two of the underdogs, really, on Wednesday morning, but they've come through in such fine style, and it promises to be a very exciting final indeed. £5,500 to the winner, a lot at stake. Let's have a look at how they got there. First of all, Martin Gilpin. He's 35, from Cumbria, of course. He's been travelling 200 miles a day to compete in the Bassmasters this year. Sheila Speed was his first victim, 21.14. Then Gary Wallace, who was strongly fancied to do well this year. He'd been, in contrast to Martin, of course, he'd been staying around this area for the 4 days. Quarterfinals, he beat Len Higginbottom, the 83 winner, 21.16, and then the semi-finals, as we've seen this afternoon, he beat Stan Frith, 21.17. Alan Broadhurst, 31, a Wiganer. Barbara Rawcliffe, 21.15, then great victory. Brian Duncan, 21.20, and I tell you, it takes some nerve to beat Duncan on the final end. Quarterfinals beat Ashley Daykin, 21.11, and then Brian Jenkins, 21.13, so his hardest match undoubtedly against Duncan. Well, Roy Armstrong and Brian Brett are with me. First of all, Roy, about Martin Gilpin. Not exactly the ideal kind of preparation, one would have thought, to travel something like 1,000 miles this week, you know, to set up the final of the Bassmasters.
Yes, on the other hand, I think he's used to that, you know, because that's what he does. He comes down from Cumbria, enters competitions in the Manchester area, does very, very well. So I think he's used to it, and I think he's surprised quite a few people, but he's been really consistent on what's become a very, very difficult green to play.
Brian, Alan Broadhurst, of course, has recently married into the Richardson family. Yes. Now, I work it out, there have been 3 Richardsons, or 3 from the Richardson family in the final of the Bassmasters, and up to now, no one's won it.
That's right, Peter and David went so close, so now it's up to brother-in-law Alan to produce the goods.
He's a very bubbly character, isn't he,
I
Alan
think
Broadhurst?
so. He's quite emotional on the green at times. He's certainly animated, and it's going to be lively. The other fella's a bit sort of straight-laced, isn't he, Martin? But you don't know what's going on inside.
Quiet lad, Roy. Nice lad, Martin Gilpin. Has played the Waterloo very well in recent years, but outside of that, he's never really made an impact in major televised events.
That's true. He loves to play there, but I tell you what, if he ever comes to the Manchester area, there's a few clubs want to sign him on.
I think one in particular, Sale Excelsior.
Yes, I guess that as well. It promises to be a quality final. You'll be able to see it in just a couple of minutes from now. Join us again.
My family's always so nice to each other.
Washed your hair. Many happy returns.
Jane's only teasing. Just because Madam insists on washing her hair every day. It's a good job there are 2 ways to get your hair Vosine clean. Original and frequent wash herbal. With the fresh smell of alpine herbs.
Mum's chatting up the milkman again.
Well, we've all got someone we like to have nice clean hair for, haven't we?
Vosine, because we're dedicated to medicated.
It's a sad fact that too many small businesses fold in their first year. So if you're starting a new business, pop into NatWest and talk to our small business advisor. You'll find one in every high street branch. Today, NatWest helps start up more small businesses than any other bank. Get off to a good start with NatWest, the Action Bank.
The planet Mars is paradise. Voices are never raised in argument. Never. There's only one sex, so no emotional problems. No fast cars. No noisy discos. Everyone is equal and lives to 803. Me? I sold up and moved to Earth.
Night. Night.
New, longer-lasting Sure for men. At the end of the day, it won't let you down.
Remember romance, the way we would dance and wanting to come. Remember romance, don't let it.
Classic from Castella, for the man who thinks that little bit bigger.
Yes, the final of the Bassmasters 1989. £5,500 to the winner, the richest singles prize in Crown Green Bowls. Now it's Alan Broadhurst against Martin Gilpin, who really got off to a flyer. Gilpin in blue, leading 5-1, as you can see. He's setting the mark. Mary Ashcroft is the referee for this final. And the commentators are Brian Brett and Hugh Johns.
Oh, Martin, you've got a beauty there. This is the skillful, delicate bowling that everybody in this Crown game has been aware of now for some years for Martin Gilpin. From way up in Cumbria, a man who is clearly going to be a force to be reckoned with in the years to come. He's already won so many good things in very recent years. And this could be a cracking final, because Alan Broadhurst here is a good pedigree in the Crown game. Gone flying out of the back. That's another single to the blue bowls of Martin Gilpin. Martin shows the block to Alan Broadhurst, and again goes for this three-quarter corner mark.
So it's again on the same track all the way across the green, cutting, if they can, through the two crowns and then leading there or thereabouts.
Alan might be in with a chance here, because that first bowl of Martin's was a bit wayward. That's too heavy. £5,500, the richest prize in Crown Bowls, at stake here. Oh, Martin, what have you done?
Yes, he just wanted to know whether the bad news was 2, but it's just the 1 against him.
Now, has he found the road? I think that's won it. Yes, the spectators down in that corner of the ground in the grandstand confirm it.
Martin Gilpin already holding a lead in this final. Very difficult opening game for him against Sheila Speed. Built a bit of a lead towards the back end, then raced away for 20-10 before winning at 21-14. Hard game against Gary Wallace. They were level at 10 and 15 across. And then Higginbottom, that was a good game. That was an upset from 18-14 to 21-16. And then that semi-final. Again, it was very, very tight. But the strength at the end, Martin Gilpin.
Martin Gilpin getting his first bowl away as almost before Alan Broadhurst had stopped on this mark, because he felt happy about it. He's beaten the lead bowl of Alan Broadhurst. Lost the line, lost it badly. Martin is in danger of going off the green. Now, it's still there, but I don't think it's doing anything more. So who's got it? The blue ball.
Gilpin, 1.
7-2, Martin Gilpin. Yes, and Martin then goes into this patch of land which has a couple of gullies and a couple of crowns of its own down there, and he's lost his line completely.
Not sure that he's put the jack exactly where he wanted it, Hugh. It's in a terribly difficult place, but Alan Broadhurst, there's another difficult opening one. 21-15, finally that tough but then strong finish by him to beat Brian Jenkins in the semi-final.
Now, what correction has Martin been able to make on his first delivery? That's probably good enough, because this is a tricky little piece of land down there. Collision. Oh, just missed. A hit, then he'd have won it. As it is, Martin has picked up another one. 8-2. And what may very well be going through Martin's mind at this moment is the 8-1 lead he had over Stan Frith in the semi-final, and then suddenly found that he was 9-8 down. Now, he did go on to beat Stan Frith, but he certainly lost his way for a little time. And now this curious little depression, this saucer down here, Brian, it's you've only just got to get over the edge, haven't you?
You just get over the edge and you're up to the jack. He's not right this time, because if you're not over the edge, you're on the other side and into the ditch. They've both played this mark well in the past.
You just need enough weight to drop into the saucer, and once you're in the saucer, you'll stay there. And that one's in the ditch too. Well, somebody surely must get a bowl on the green to count on this end. Well, I don't know. That one's going in the ditch, surely. So Alan Broadhurst doesn't need to bowl this time. He's doing it purely for practice. He could have carried it up there and counted one. What a remarkable end. 3 bowls in the ditch. So Alan Broadhurst is given a gift of a single chalk. 3-8 off the mat, Alan Broadhurst. And Alan deciding to go down the side of the green in front of the players' hut, where they'll be getting a close-up view of this particular head of bowls. Oh, yes. Meanwhile, Martin's got his first one away. Short. Must stay up above it and let the crown or the slope of the green bring that bowl down. Bias towards the crown. Chances? No. So Alan Broadhurst has got a single there, but more importantly, he's in a position now to start playing the other corners. And he pushes this one away out towards the leaderboard. This will be something in the region of 45, 46 yards. Fine lead.
Yes, in fact, the other corner mark was set up by Broadhurst, who then found Gilpin beating him on it, switched to this corner. So this is going to be interesting. A lot of running in the bowl.
Big tall lad, Alan Broadhurst, but he didn't get the full use of his body behind the delivery there. This is looking a bit useful. Stop. Yes, it does. And wins it. It'll be interesting to see now whether Martin Gilpin goes for the return corner.
Well, not fully, Hugh. A good 10 yards in from the actual corner, but he's played it well, and I have a feeling he prefers this one, although in his semi-final he certainly played well in the opposite corners. This is a good lead.
Just about a foot and a half behind the jack. Finger peg. I should think that'll win it. That's then Higginbottom and Jenkins, the men who went out of this competition at the very late stages, and they're watching Martin Gilpin. Well, I think he might just have pinched it. Yes, he has. No change. Martin Gilpin, a single. 10-4. Plenty of youngsters here enthusiastically supporting this game of crown bowls, with a couple of men who started their bowls careers at similar sort of ages. Alan Broadhurst, 9 years old when he started, and Martin Gilpin, 14. It's tricky, that corner. If If you don't catch it absolutely right, weight-wise, the ball will run through. Oh, that's not going to arrive. There's a slight hill up to the jack there, isn't there, Brian? And if you don't catch it right, you stop this side of it, and you go too fast, you'll fly past.
You look a mug if you take anything out of the running. Now, is this any better? This looks good, doesn't it? Looks useful. Got it right.
Just got the legs absolutely perfect. One for certain, and measure for two. Oh, well, gracious me. Was that Joe Owen breaking into a canter?
Breaking into a saunter. Joe Owen, the big man on the right, Roy Bate on the left. And when we started this game, Hugh, the money really was on Martin Gilpin. 5-4 on with Broadhurst, even money. They're playing for a first prize of £5,500, a record in the game.
As Martin had taken out Gary Wallace, Len Higginbottom, Stan Frith, that's an impressive trio. So Allen with that single. 10-5. Gilpin's lead. Just kissed the jack and waved goodbye to it. Flew on quite some distance. It's a very fast piece of green up in that corner, and not a lot of grass around there. And this has been a difficulty all week, hasn't it, Brian? The varying drying surfaces, the bare patches and so on.
Absolutely, and I think there's some areas that are not too clever to cut either, Hugh, so if there's a bit of grass there, then even that is thicker grass than the norm, so that judging the pace is really very difficult. And clearly we have on the green now the two best players out of the 32 who have been able to play it.
Because it's been difficult with bowlers in the game all through this very, very hot summer. I know greenkeepers have had a lot of difficulty keeping the grass and making sure they had a decent surface to play on.
Yes, and then the water is always a problem, isn't it? We've had problems with that.
Broadhurst, 1.
Four shots difference. So it's a very different matter than a few ends ago when Martin Gilpin was leading 8-2. If it runs just a little bit more, it'll win it. Yes. That's run out. Chance for two here for Martin. Doesn't have to be a very, very close bowl to get two. Has the running. Yes, that's two, all right. Martin sees no reason to change his mark. And of course, there's a little bit of revenge at stake here, Brian Brett, as far as these two are concerned, from their meeting in the Manchester Evening News.
That's right. Martin Gilpin had dispatched Noel Burrows first, and later on in the final stages He beat Allen, went on to win the competition, and let's just remind viewers that the winner of the Bassmasters a year ago was Colin Trousdale, also the winner of the Manchester Evening News event. So he's had a sign of things to come.
Well, Martin seems to be in full swing now. Alan Broadhurst's bowl off the green. Needs to hit something to stay. Well, surely Alan will at least save one here. Might even win it. No, no. Just needed another foot of running. There's the sun here, bringing the shorty brigade out. Sunglasses, but there are youngsters with tracksuits who find the need for a little extra warmth. Martin again into the leaderboard corner. The Broadhurst ball has won it.
Yes, he set the mark 3 ends ago, and so far he's failed to score on it. This time he counts one. Is this any better? This the reply, and needs a hit. Well, it may well have just gone out. Not firm enough a connection.
Falls over. Fall in. Luke Martin.
Mary Ashcroft, a referee, of course, who refereed last year's final. It's a fine match between Colin Trousdale and David Richardson. Well, fine as far as Colin Trousdale was concerned. David Richardson, I don't think, thought too much of it.
Took a while to get over that, didn't it? He struck and rarely hit a thing. Colin off on his track, but went out. First round this time.
Measures, please.
Going to be a difficult measure, this, Hugh, because the blue disc bowl of Gilpin's is leaning in towards the jack.
Yes, it might just topple over.
Yes. Wants to go around there and do a few smart jumps on the back of it. The middle blue one is the one that might just topple forward. In the flat green game they would chock that, of course, but not in this game. If they do the yellow first, and they are doing, that gives the blue a little more time to fall. Tread very carefully, gentlemen.
The yellow ball is closest. So Alan Broadhurst moves on to 7. Martin Gilpin stays on 13. And Alan has decided not to play back across the diagonal. He's going along the edge of the green. Finger peg ball with the bias towards the crown. The crown works against the bias works against the crown, and the ball winds up running almost straight. And Alan Broadhurst's gamble has not paid off. One for Martin Gilpin. 14-7 he leads. Martin Gilpin's matches so far, most of them have been good, hard games. I think probably the hardest was against Gary Wallace when he was 15-17 down and then went out, 21-17. Len Higginbottom, it was fairly tight at 10-10, but then he went all the way, 21-16. Stan Frith, he broke away from Stan when they were just after they got to 15-15. But he's building a very substantial and good-looking lead against Alan Broadhurst. Martin with the running to get the yellow ball out. Missed it by a whisker. He's going to run in for two. Beautiful. Now, that little double have done something for Alan Broadhurst's confidence, do you think, Brian?
I would hope so. It's the first time he's scored two in the game, and we're now into the 20th end. The tactics have scarcely altered. I think we've had probably two shortish marks set by Broadhurst along an edge. This is a different piece of land, but the bowls do drop there as they approach the jack, and then there's a climb at the other side. It'll be a very interesting mark. Gilpin will not be unhappy with this mark.
No, he's got the close one. And Broadhurst putting pressure on himself again. Just a little neck and coasts down to win it. Good crowd here, an appreciative crowd at the Woodlands Hotel along the Chester Road, Ellesmere Port, or Whitby, whichever way you want to look at it. So, no change, even with that collision. Single, Alan Broadhurst. Gap closed to 4 chalks now.
Big change in tactics by Broadhurst. 10-14 down, need to run. Found a nice little piece of land just trickling down with the length, but well wide of the jack.
Broadhurst. Delicate run on this bowl because the crown is a little bit quick there, and the slope rather of the crown just drops it in.
Yes, but still, Martin Gilpin winning at this end if he can get the length right. If there is enough running in the bowl, looks as though it's going to just curl away. May not be enough. Broadhurst, yellow, yes, another single. Broadhurst 11, Gilpin still 14, and that's from 7-14. Straight across the green again, almost into the Colin Trousdale country, the track across the green from the Bowls Pavilion.
Alan waving that one in. That's a lovely bowl. Getting tight. Unlucky Alan Broadhurst. If he'd just rested on the blue bowl, he'd have been counting 2, I think. As it is, Martin Gilpin's holding 1. And
Gilpin.
it's still 1.
1.
That's a jaunty step about Martin Gilpin as he goes down there. Now, Martin looks longingly at this corner down below us, but I don't think he's going to go there. He's taking a long time making up his mind.
Thought he'd go diagonally, Hugh, I must say. He's done all his best work on the diagonal. He's having another think of smoothing the mat, as they're entitled to. Not quite fully corners, but it will swing across.
You boys off screen, please. Thank you.
Looking good. It's a fair lead. That's an even better one. Alan Broadhurst has won this one. 31 years old at the moment. Looking back to 15 years ago in 74, when only 16 years old, he made the last 16 of the Waterloo. And lost to the eventual winner that year. I think it was Billy Houghton. Or Billy Horton, I think it's pronounced.
Billy Horton, I think. Hugh, fine player. And a very good competition. Good to see it back this year. Won by John Bancroft, of course.
Well, that was a solid bowl. Just as well it made the contact. It's going to creep up and win it. No, it won't. Oh, just got tired. Turned over and died.
It's a bit of a nuisance, though. Oh, they fancy the blue bowl of Gilpin's, in fact, Hugh. But it's in the way, isn't it? It's a bit of a nasty approach. See if he can do it.
Very aware of it. Well, if Martin's on and he waits for Alan Broadhurst just to indicate it. Alan says he's not sure. Mary Ashcroft, the referee, fancied the blue bowl.
Did say only like it.
He needs to get inside it.
Measures, please.
A measuring job.
Yes, very wise Alan Broadhurst didn't concede there, because once they say you're on, I mean, that is it, that's their word, and whoever is indicated as being on is on. But he quite wisely said, I don't know, let's have a measure. Absolutely right at this stage.
Well, I'm due to be wrong.
Yes, £5,500 for the winner, £2,500 for the loser. And this is not a match where you're prepared to give anything away. And it was the yellow bowl that was on. And it's suddenly getting very, very tight and tense out there. Just 2 chalks in it now. One thing is certain at this stage of the game is that the loser, whoever he is, will not be in the record books as the lowest scoring loser of the Bassmasters. Alan Gilpin, right on the button with that one. The 21-9 win of Brian Duncan against Peter Richardson was the one bad one, and John Bancroft beating Joe Bradbury 21-8. It was another bit of a walkover. This one's certainly going to be a lot tighter. That's remarkable. Martin gets one right on the kitty, and then his second is a long way away from it. The jack, the block, the kitty, the white, as they call it in Scotland, that's always the target down there. Allen lost his way. Martin. It's not an easy mark to play. Needs to hit. Oh, didn't. A wide open head. And Allen feels that he's got it with this one. And nobody's going to take that away from him. Good applause around this Woodlands Hotel green as Alan Broadhurst scores a single, keeps very much in contact in this final. "32 bowlers setting off at the start of the competition, 3 of them ladies. And here, down to the last 2. And 2 chalks between them at the moment. And that's a bowl that Alan Broadhurst would love to have back in his hand.
Yes, now it's 16-14 against Broadhurst, 1 off, this to count. It could all turn against him at this end.
It'll need to be a super bowl to beat that one. Taken a lot off his running. Bowl a couple of feet from the jack will count 2. And that's what's going to happen. Yes. Well, Alan Broadhurst will be kicking himself mentally at this moment for the looseness of his lead bowl at that last end. Alan with a lot of work to do now. Well, Martin in the driving seat again, as he is throughout the entire course of a Crown Green season. Driving up and down from his home in Kendal, up and down the motorways. But he's got one against him there. That was unlucky, a firmer contact and he'd have knocked it away. Doubt whether he's moved in enough. Martin has told Alan that he's in. So it's 1 for yellow. Can it be 2? Nope. 1 to Alan Broadhurst. He stays alive, very much so. And this is the time that he's got to keep the block in his hand for a little run of shots. Just 3 chalks in it. And Alan wants a good lead here. That's pretty useful. Building thumb peg. And coming in for 2.
Good 2 as well, because that bowl is now behind the jack. And there was a waiting bowl unprotected there from Gilpin.
Too heavy to do anything.
Yes.
Excellent 2 for Alan Broadhurst. And now the gap is just 1 chalk. 17-18. Alan Broadhurst off the mat.
With me is Brian Jenkins from Murfield, who was narrowly defeated in the semi-final with Alan Broadhurst. He's 17-18 now, Brian, just 1 behind. What do you think?
Well, Alan's come behind from in a number of games this week, so I don't think you can write him off. If anything, I think I fancy his chances.
Did you fancy him from the start?
Not really. I mean, you look at the board. I mean, there's so many top-class bowlers. I don't think you can fancy anybody. I mean, I wouldn't like to put my money on anyone when I came.
Thank you.
Brian Jenkins with Roy Armstrong there. Brian, who was knocked out in the semi-final by Alan Broadhurst. And Martin's lost his way. This is the time when the pressure, if it's going to reach them, is mounting, isn't it, Brian?
It is, and it got to Broadhurst there because he turned his peg over. He tried to find a safe way in. Martin Gilpin has won so many things. He can raise a smile, but he knows he made a mistake there. Now, is this line right? Is the length right? Gilpin.
Oh, would you believe it? Alan Broadhurst has leveled the scores. We're 18 across. From 18-14 down. That's a good lead.
He can afford to play with a little more weight to try and play the bowl out. Oh.
Alan Broadhurst, semi-finalist in the Waterloo last year. Winner of the Benham Trophy, Matthew Brown Trophy this year. He's a big, tall chap. And he sticks to his job. And Martin Gilpin is in some bother. He is in considerable bother. 2 for Alan Broadhurst. 20-18. He leads. This is a remarkable comeback. And just looking down my scorecard, apart from the very first end when Alan Broadhurst scored, this, I think, I'm right in saying, is the first time in the match that he's been in front.
2-4 break of 6 over 4 ends here. He's looking good. You know, 10 years ago they were talking about him being the next Brian Duncan. I think his studies probably delayed that, but look at this response.
It really is boiling up down there now. It's not coming back. Marvellous chance for Martin Gilpin. Can he get 2 here? and make it 20 across. Yes, he has. What a finish we got now. "32 ends of bowls, 20 across the score. It's all got to be settled now on this mark. Unless, of course, the jack goes in the ditch.
For the first time in the game, he's come out of the corners, Hugh. He's cutting across this green and down that slope.
It's 2.5 feet or 2 feet through. Is that close enough? Crowd urging the bowl. Alan Broadhurst urging the bowl. Come on down the slope. Hasn't gone far enough. Martin Gilpin. It's not going to make the trip. He's got to rely on that first bowl. And Alan Broadhurst, one bowl in his hand. Is this bowl worth £5,500? Broadhurst dashing up. He wants to see it arrive. It's not going to arrive. Martin Gilpin has done it in one of the most electrifying finishes of a bowls match you'll ever want to see. Martin Gilpin, the man from Kendal, from Cumbria, all that motorway driving, and he puts in his pocket the top prize, the Bassmasters 1989. A thrilling finish from 20 across, and he gets the last one, 21-20.
Yes, the best final we've ever had in the Bassmasters. You don't get any closer than 21-20. So Martin Gilpin, the 1989 Bassmaster, to the victor, the spoils.
Ladies and gentlemen, to present the Bassmasters Trophy 1989, would you welcome Mr. Bill King, Managing Director of Bass Northwest.
That was Simon Hamlin, the Regional Promotions Manager of Bass Northwest, introducing Bill King, the Managing Director of Bass Northwest.
Once again, we've been delighted to stage this most prestigious event in the bowling calendar. I'm sure you'll agree with me, we've enjoyed some good weather, some excellent support and some fine bowling, particularly in this last match. Could I take this opportunity of thanking all those who've been associated with the event, who've worked very hard in maintaining the fine standard of what I believe is one of the world's premier bowling tournaments. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, can I thank you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you all again next year.
Bill King, the Managing Director of Bass Northwest, a company which has done a tremendous amount for this game of crown bowls.
Please give a big hand to Alan Broadhurst.
And after this marvellous week of bowls, it's Alan Broadhurst who goes up to sympathetic applause to take the runners-up cheque, £2,500.
And the moment we've been waiting for, the 1989 Bassmasters champion, a man who will receive a cheque for £5,500, Mr. Martin Gilpin.
And Martin Gilpin. Great applause for this young man who has really shown us some first-class bowling throughout the whole of this marvellous week of bowls. 32 bowlers set off for the big prize, and it's Martin Gilpin who winds up with the trophy.
Well, all that took place just a few minutes ago. The victor and the runner-up have joined me here on the presentation balcony. First of all, Martin, many congratulations. Is this certainly I know it's the biggest financial reward you've ever had, but in terms of prestige, how does it rate with your Waterloo successes?
It's the biggest, without a doubt. It's a lot bigger than anything I've won on the Waterloo. I think the Bassmasters is something everybody wants to win, and I'm very thrilled to have won it, very thrilled.
Alan, commiserations. You had a bowl to win the Bassmasters for 1989. What went wrong?
Well, to be truthful, I thought my first bowl, the first bowl I sent, was definitely going to win it. But then my second one just got tight at the jack. Once to get tight, with all the bare patches, it's very difficult to judge. And Martin went in the right place at the right time. He just played the a correct bowl.
When did you know that that final bowl wasn't going to win it?
When it was about 10 yards from the jack, and I could see it wasn't going to reach the bare patch where it has to run down to the jack. It was just short. I thought I'd sent it perfectly, but the winners can smile and the losers can please themselves.
What are you going to do with the money?
Well, the wife usually gets the money, so what's she going to do with it?
Incidentally, they've all been watching in Cumbria this afternoon on board of television. Have you got a little message for them back there?
Well, hi everybody. If my mother and father's watching, this is for them.
Terrific. What was the tension out there like?
I don't know, you're just trying to play each ball. You're playing the green, you don't notice, when you get into a tight finish, you're still trying to play the right ball at the right time. You don't sort of realise you're 20 all in the Bass Masters, it's 20 all in a game of balls, and you're trying to play the right wood to win the game. I think if you keep it that way, you stop yourself knotting up.
You've actually been involved in a couple of tight finishes this week. Certain Mr. Duncan would agree with that.
That's right, yes. I don't think Brindham slept since, but that was a very close game, yes. But this was more tense because it was close all the way through. Well, it wasn't, it was close at the end. I never thought I could win against Brian, not because I didn't think I could beat him, but because I was always behind and always looked dead and buried. Whereas I came back early enough against Martin, and the greens changing all the time. There was a chance.
I've just worked out what your downfall has been in this tournament, Alan, if you don't mind me saying so. I'm sure it must be marrying into the Richardson family because
That's
David
right,
and Peter have both lost in the final here in previous years.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, yeah. I'd like to have won it for them, but like I say, there's only losing. It's bad news losing, but you can always come back next year. If I can qualify again, I'll be trying my best again.
But you're certainly back next year. That's one of the great pluses of winning the Bass Masters, apart from the trophy and the money. It's automatic qualification for next year.
That's right, it takes a bit of the pressure off. You graft all year trying to get into it. This is the first time I've been in it, and it's been hard work trying to get into it for years, you know.
What's it been like, though, travelling 200 miles every day?
Well, it's been hard, but it's not. Yeah, I get used to travelling a bit. I do quite a bit of travelling in the season. This is probably further than I would normally come, but it's not too bad.
Roy Armstrong made the point that to me earlier that with you living in Cumbria and possibly not being able to travel and compete in the top handicaps, that maybe that's held you back a wee bit, and that had you been able to do that, you would probably today be one of the top players.
Well, you don't know. That's difficult to say, isn't it?
I mean, here you are down the years, having enjoyed one or two successes.
Yeah, one or two, the odd ones, yeah.
But do you miss the kind of competition that you would get if you were playing against the likes of Alan
I'd like to live
all the time?
Around the Manchester area and play against these guys more often, obviously, but I'm stuck where I am and I've got to make the best of it. Simple as that.
Alan, as far as you're concerned, is the competition in the game now tougher than it's ever been, do you think?
Yes, there's lots of good young players, up-and-coming young players. I'm glad that Martin lives a long way away so he can't enter all the tournaments that I enter, because I think he's a very good player. Excellent player. Deserved to win.
Actually, Brian Duncan, almost as we finish, described this on day one as the ultimate test in Crown Green bowls over 4 days. Would you go along with that?
Well, possibly. The green's the thing. I think you've got to play balls on the green. You've got to beat the green, I think, to win the tournament. Very, very hard. I think possibly it was an advantage to me not knowing that much about the green, because I've taken it as I found it, where sometimes you know a lot, you get frightened of it, don't you, sometimes?
Well, £5,500 to you, 2.5 to Alan. Here's a nice gesture by Bass as well. They've donated £70,000 to the Manchester Olympic bid. Manchester, of course, and the North West bidding to stage the Olympic Games in 1996, and the Bass has supported that with a cheque for £70,000 presented by Bill King and accepted by John Smith, the chairman of Liverpool, on behalf of the Olympic bid. Everyone seems to be in the money, and we are all in the mood. Bye-bye.